Here we go.
What are we playing now?
Super Metroid, which is a great Metroid game.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the air with another YouTube broadcast with our special guest Yoshiman4698, and he's going to demonstrate to us how to play Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo.
Well, I am by no means a master at this game, but I have played it before, and it's a really fun game.
It's quite an
Scary.
That's scary.
Whoa.
Oh,
Is he leaking oil, I hope?
yes. Probably gonna die. Nope, I got him.
Good job, Jay. So do you remember when this game came out? Was it 1994? 1993?
94.
1994?
Who makes Metroid?
Nintendo?
Is this a Miyamoto game?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's a Miyamoto game.
he's not the one that thinks of everything, but it's still a full Nintendo game.
So the company that made this game is Nintendo.
Yes. But they're not, like, Miyamoto is not the one that thought of the story and everything.
He was probably like just a producer for it.
I can't remember. The last name of the guy that did all of the stuff for this game is Sakamoto.
Did he give any history or background about this game? Because honestly, it's kind of, it's kind of weird because I've always been a Metroid fan, but to be honest, I don't really know much of the history about this game. I don't know. I know Metroid 1 came out in like 1987, and people were shocked that Samus was a woman when you didn't find it out actually until you beat the game that you found out Samus was a woman. I knew that Metroid 2 was the sequel for the Game Boy, and I have that copy, and it's actually just a really good game. I really enjoy it.
I've never played the Game Boy one.
And then this is Metroid 3, which they call Super Metroid to go with the whole super theme. Because
You know what I want?
better when it's super.
I want a new Metroid side-scrolling game with good old either 3DS graphics or Wii U graphics. Just a Metroid side-scroller like the old ones.
I agree. I agree with you.
Like Super Metroid and Zero Mission.
Oh, I remember the music for this.
Well, if they really want to, they sure could make one.
Didn't they make... I thought they made for the DS. I mean, I know they made a first person for the DS, but didn't they make a side-scrolling Metroid game for the DS? Or
No, it was just the first-person ones. Like Metroid Prime Hunters.
I agree with you, though. I think the side-scrolling Metroids are the best. I really do enjoy Retro Studios. Like, I think they did a good job making it a first-person shooter.
They did a really good job.
But I just think that the side-scrolling is just a step beyond any other. I mean, really, this was the game that really influenced Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Prior to that, Castlevania was just a linear platformer, and they turned it into kind of an exploration game because they turned it. Some people complain that Castlevania Symphony of the Night is too much like Metroid, and they call it Metroidvania.
Well, I haven't played Symphony of the Night, so if I did, I'd probably like it.
Well, you're welcome to try it out anytime you want.
Do you have it?
I have it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's my second favorite Castlevania game besides Dracula X, Rondo of Blood.
Dracula X is a really good Castlevania game. It's fantastic. Oh, man. Except it's really expensive nowadays.
Yes.
Because you have to buy the console and the game.
Yeah, but I mean the game is really expensive too. Like, it's really rare. It's like Earthbound, but not at the magnitude of Earthbound.
Magnitude, that's another good word.
Like, Earthbound is so much more, like, I don't want to say popular, or, like, Earthbound is more rare.
It has a bigger cult following.
Yeah.
Although Castlevania's got a pretty big cult following too.
True.
But I do
But
think
I think the Mother series has its own little community.
it's true. Like with Castlevania, people be like, "Oh, I love all Castlevania games," but not everyone's played all the Castlevania games. Where with Mother and Earthbound, most people who are like serious into gaming or collecting games, you hear Earthbound mentioned a lot. Like I remember I was actually in Gamers the other day, and a guy was talking to another person, and they were talking about rare RPGs, and this guy was saying that the number one RPG that he's wanting to get, but he can't afford it, was Earthbound. And I've heard other people just randomly talk about Earthbound. It's really... Super Smash Brothers really made that the game that everybody wanted to play, but nobody owned.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube that I watch that has like 6 copies of the game just to collect them.
That's mean.
Who was it? Didn't you know, Sean, someone who had... Or not know, but like saw that someone had like 12 or 10 copies of Pendragoon Saga?
Yeah, a man. Well, I'm assuming it's a man. When I was searching for you, it wasn't on eBay. It was on a website or something. He had a picture on his table. He took a picture of like 10 copies of Panzer Dragoon Saga
That's so mean.
on his table.
That's-
That's so selfish. He needs to sell those for at least a regular
Right.
price.
I can
So
understand
that's-
having 2 copies, but 10...
You need to share, people.
Sharing is caring.
It can be fun.
Speaking of rare games, did anyone know that? I'm sure Shawnee knew because I already talked to you about this, but Xenoblade's actually gone down because of a little cahoots thing Nintendo did with GameSpot, where they re-released some more copies of Xenoblade.
Oh yeah. There's like reprints.
There's now reprints of it, and so now instead of it being like $100, $150, it's now $60.
That's pretty cool. I heard about that somewhere.
It's cool for the people who don't own it, but the people who already owned it, it's not cool. Just because it brought down the value of their game.
I was actually talking to an employee over at GameStop, and they were saying that GameStop did a Christmas release of Xenoblade Chronicles, and in order to make more money out of the Xenoblade Chronicles, because they can only sell by policy and by Nintendo's policies or law, whatever you want to call it, by Nintendo's structure, Wii games brand new can only sell for $50 if they're brand new. That's just how it works. And if someone was to charge, if a retailer wanted to charge more for it, I don't know what the details are of that. But anyway, in order for GameSpot to make more money off of Xenoblade, they cheated, and they actually, after Christmas, they opened all their copies of Xenoblade and put used stickers so they could charge whatever they want, because there's no jurisdiction over used games.
Is that really what they did?
Mm-hmm. That's...
They opened brand new copies and stuck a sticker on them
To call them
and added
used.
$10 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
They were $50, but now they're all $60 because they opened them and called them used.
I see.
So they would make more money off of them.
What a sick world.
It is a really sick world, but then again, GameStop is a really sick company.
You said GameSpot.
They're like,
GameStop.
it's easy to confuse us.
It
too.
is true.
He
GameSpot,
did
sorry,
say
GameSpot's the website, which actually, after they fired Jeff Gerstmann and Greg Kasavin left, they pretty much sucked too. I mean, I still think that Caroline Petit and Kevin Van Ord are the only reasons to go back there. Caroline Petit, she is a great reviewer, and
Except for that one driving game that she likes.
oh,
so
that
much.
driving game that she liked, but still, at least, yeah, there was that one driving game that she liked. She said you could just drive and drive and drive. But Kevin Van Ord, his list for greatest games of 2013, that should have been GameSpot's or Spot's greatest games list, because this year was just awful. This was probably one of the most disappointing years I've ever experienced with that list.
That boss took way too long.
Yeah, but GameStop, they just suck. They don't even keep DS. If you sell a copy of a DS cartridge with the manual and the case, like if you're a collector or if you're trying to get rid of it and you want to buy a DS cartridge used, they throw away the manuals and they throw away the cases to all their DS games.
That's terrible.
I think that's even worse than the Xenoblade business.
I think that's worse than the Xenoblade business
I think
too.
that's horrible.
It's
That is
a
terrible.
crime. If you're wanting to collect DS games, you have automatically eliminated your customers, GameStop, by doing that. They don't care about games.
They don't care.
They do not care about games.
I don't even know why they have a game store. They don't care about games.
I think they need to go bankrupt and there needs to be a new one.
Called
I agree.
Game Spec. I don't know.
I think they should bring back. I think they should bring back EV Games.
They could make a new one called
They
Game
should-
Room.
Game Room, yeah, Game Room would be a good one too. Classic gaming, I don't know. They need to. Gamers is overpriced, but I really appreciate the fact that they sell old games.
Mm-hmm.
I thought gamers were better than GameStop.
Yes, they are. They're way better.
The oldest console that GameStop sells is PlayStation 3. They don't sell PlayStation 2 anymore, right? They're phasing
Yeah.
them out.
They're phasing out their PlayStation 2, so really, yeah, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 are their oldest consoles now.
Do they still sell Wii? There's
They still
Wii?
sell Wii. There's lots of Wii. Lots of Wii games, all used.
All pregnant woman games.
They do have the Metroid Prime trilogy, which is cool.
Do they?
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
it's like $70, $80.
And they probably wiped their butt with the manual.
They probably did. They probably took the manual out of there and wiped their butt with it because that's just how they treat games. I really hope that the CEO is listening. He's probably laughing. He's probably like, "Oh, I do more than that. I wipe money with my butt."
Because I have so much money.
It's
'Cause I have
really
such
hard to wall jump in this game,
What
but
do you-
I can do it really well.
That's because you don't even have to think about it.
Well, this isn't one of those games, though.
You do a really good job. Are you on a planet right now? Zebo?
This is Zeebs.
Zebo.
Zeebs?
Oh, that's a thing for my Carly.
My Carly.
Yeah,
What's Zebo?
it's like a big purple dinosaur.
I thought it was. No, never mind. That's the placebo. Can you, in this game, Jake, do the whole charging trick where you charge and then run? Or jump?
Oh, yeah. That's the speed booster. I don't have that yet.
No, not the speed booster, the where you charge the gun and when you jump, you kill your enemies instantly. Like in Metroid
Oh,
Zero Mission.
it's similar to that in this game. You're invincible. Or, okay.
You can't get hurt.
Most of the time, yeah.
Except by that enemy.
Except for that guy. That guy's dumb.
This really is an incredible game. I remember when I first played this, I actually downloaded it for the Wii, and I played it, and I was blown away by how good it was.
This game is huge.
It is a huge game. It's a long game.
It's longer than most Metroid side-scrollers. Is this the longest side-scroller? Metroid side-scroller?
I don't know.
I guess Metroid Fusion could be, because
Metroid Fusion is short, I thought, in my opinion.
the only thing that makes it really long is the
Cutscenes?
cutscenes. There don't need to be cutscenes in Metroid games. That's my only complaint with Fusion.
I would suggest, at least if you want to get the story, that they should at least be skippable.
Yeah.
because I enjoy stories in games, as long as they're good. That's why I thought it was crazy that the Metroid Other M for the Nintendo Wii, you could not skip the cutscenes.
I absolutely hate that game.
I don't understand.
It's terrible as a Metroid game.
I know, and it was made by Team Ninja, the people who did Ninja Gaiden. How do you take...
No, the story was actually by the same guy that does the story for this game.
What went wrong then? Like, how do you go from taking Ninja Gaiden and the original Super Metroid, put the creators of those games in the same room, and you get something as crappy as Metroid Other M? What happened? Exactly, nothing. I wish it was nothing.
What happened?
It would have been
exactly nothing.
It would have been better than to have nothing than to have that. It just completely destroyed the.
So is that the worst Metroid game?
Oh,
I think
hands
so.
down. Nobody liked
To
it.
be honest, I have never actually played Metroid.
Aww.
So I have a hard time being able to input anything.
That's okay. Metroid is kind of one of those. It's like Nintendo fans like it, but I think it's probably one of the few Nintendo games that's geared more towards a male audience, just because of the aliens and the.
I was thinking that too. It's a male game. Boys like
Can't
this game.
for the life of me do that trick.
And then Samus is a girl, of course, and that kind of appeals to male audience as well, because we like to have the. I don't want to get myself in trouble here.
I'm listening.
The not weaker sex, but the more vulnerable. You know, kind of like how in Limbo, how they use now. In the past, because of women's rights, they don't do this anymore. In the past, if you wanted to make a vulnerable story, you always made your protagonist a woman. Nowadays, because of political correctness, they use children. So, like Limbo likes to use vulnerability. So they decide to have this kind of dark world, and they use children as your protagonist to make it really like you're alone in this world.
Limbo is a really well-made game.
Limbo is, from what I have played Limbo, it is a very good puzzle game. Speaking of other great games that are space themed, have you ever heard of the game Jake Swapper?
It sounds familiar.
It's like a cross between Super Metroid and Portal.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I have seen footage of that
That's
game.
the one that just came out, right?
Yep. It came out this year, or it came out last year, and it got a lot of rewards.
Rewards?
Awards. My bad. Can't speak English.
English is a hard language.
It is a very hard language. Good thing I'm American.
Merca.
But basically, you clone yourself in order to solve puzzles.
I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard of that game.
I think it looks
I've seen footage
awesome.
of it too.
I think it's the game that I should be playing other than Metroid M. I should skip out. I'm sorry. I need to discard Metroid Other M and play Swabber, is what I'm trying to say. Wait, didn't we just battle this guy?
Yeah, I don't know where to go.
How are we making this one?
Oh, I guess you can do that.
What'd you see?
Oh, you can do the charge and jump?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing in this game.
So, Shauna, since you think this is a game that, even though it's a Nintendo game, it's geared mostly towards a male audience, can you think of Mario? It doesn't matter whether you're a girl or a guy. Mario it exceeds far beyond gender. But do you think there is a Nintendo game that is specifically geared towards girls? that you can think of?
What do you mean a Nintendo game? Because you guys just got done telling me that this game is created by the company Nintendo, not by like how Atlas made a game and how Namco and...
We're just talking about Nintendo. We're just talking about, can you think of a game?
A Nintendo game.
A Nintendo game. Well, I know that if you're gonna say like Minnie's Circus Great or the Mickey and Minnie's Circus Adventure, that was done by Capcom. So what we're actually looking more is something that's from the Nintendo franchise. So like when you think of Nintendo franchise, you think of obviously Mario, Zelda. Zelda, I would say, would be geared towards mostly a male audience because of the swords and the fighting. But
I enjoyed Zelda.
you enjoyed Zelda, so that'd be another one that probably transcends gender itself.
I think Animal Crossing would probably be like the closest thing to a female type Nintendo game.
I think that's a really good observation, but I only liked Animal Crossing for like 10 hours and now I don't ever want to play it again.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's not that fun when you get everything. I can't even explain it. Like, you gotta pull all your weeds. That's boring. That's stupid. But you gotta do it in order to keep the town looking nice. I remember I bought all the furniture that I liked, and then there was no ever any furniture that I ever wanted to get again. So that was boring. And then I think it's cool that the game, something special happens every time an actual literal holiday happens in the world. In the actual world. Something cool happens in Animal Crossing. But you gotta wait for that day. So that's dumb. I just got tired of it. And it's a tiny little world in Animal Crossing. Maybe I am supposed to restart every 10 hours, but I got tired of it. But I really had lots of fun at the beginning. But I can't answer your question, Aaron, because I can't even think of any Nintendo games besides... I didn't even know Metroid is made by Nintendo. So if you give me a list of games, maybe I can answer your question.
Here, I have a copy of... give me just a second.
And I don't like Pikmin.
Right. I know you don't like Pikmin.
I thought that was boring.
Pikmin can be boring.
Even though I liked that genre, I didn't like that game.
Oh, I'm just trying to come up with ideas here. Okay, F-Zero is definitely a boys' game. Let me look. Okay, so Mario exceeds gender. So does Zelda. What about Pokemon? Do you think Pokemon is more geared towards a male audience or a female audience, or do you think that exceeds gender with Pokemon?
I don't think you can put a gender with it. It seems like males enjoy it the most.
I think the reason they put
but there's a lot of cutesy Pokemon.
That's true.
In Pokemon Red and Blue, you couldn't have either a male or a female protagonist, but now you can.
It was always a male protagonist.
Since Gold and Silver,
wasn't it?
Since Gold and Silver, it's been either a male or a female.
Okay. But it was always a male prior to that, wasn't it? Ash. It was always...
Well, it wasn't Ash. It was Red.
Red? But wasn't it one of his side names Ash? Wasn't it?
No, Ash is the guy from the anime.
Okay. Yoshi's Island is transcends gender, I would definitely say. Donkey Kong, that's another one that's you can't really say only guys are like this, only girls like that. Fox, or not Fox, Star Fox.
Never played Star Fox.
Star Fox, I'd say, because it's spaceships and shooting laser guns, I think that would definitely fall under, it's geared towards a male audience. Captain Falcon as well. Earthbound, what would you guys say about?
Earthbound appeals to a certain audience.
It has its own niche.
It does. Like, you can't really apply male or female to that game.
It's just the hipster audience.
Yeah.
Ice Climbers. I really don't understand why Ice Climbers made it to the Super Smash Brothers game, is because when you actually play, I don't know, maybe you guys disagree, but I didn't think that game, the original Ice Climbers, was very fun.
I didn't think it was very fun either.
I didn't like.
I only
Ice
played it
Climbers.
for maybe 5 minutes.
I don't know anyone who actually has played Ice Climbers who said that game is amazing. Just because you break blocks and you try to get to the top. Like, I think the original Donkey Kong is more fun than Ice Climbers for the arcade.
I agree with that.
Kirby, do you think that is
Ooh, Kirby.
geared towards
I
what
think
sort of
girls
audience?
love Kirby.
Girls
Yeah.
love Kirby.
Because he's pink
Kirby
and
is
he's
one
cute.
of those female type games.
But,
I love
but
Kirby.
boys certainly play Kirby.
I love
That's
Kirby.
true.
I just think that
Do you think boys play Kirby because they're trying to attract the girls, or do you think just because they like Kirby?
Kirby's a cool game.
Kirby's
Okay.
an awesome game.
I didn't realize how cool it was until me and Jake played it that night. The last time we were hanging out together.
Really?
I didn't realize how cool Kirby was.
What now? You mean when you played it on the Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
On the emulator, was it?
Because I've
Samus?
never owned Kirby. I don't
Oh,
own
yeah.
Kirby. I've never
We
really
have,
played Kirby.
we have Kirby's Avalanche.
It's
Yeah, but that's not a
it's
Kirby
not a
game. That's a
I like how you guys both shut me down on that one. That was funny.
That's-
Good radio right there. Good radio.
that's just a random puzzle game.
It's just a puzzle game with Kirby in it.
What about, okay, so we've already established that Metroid.
That's a copy of a Sega game.
Metroid is a copy of a Sega game?
No, the Kirby's Avalanche. That's a copy of one of Sega's Sonic puzzle games called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Really? I know what game you're talking about. I didn't know that was a cop-out.
Well, the two games are almost identical.
Hmm.
Are there any more?
Fire Emblem is definitely, I would say, oriented towards a male audience. My sister really had no interest in Fire Emblem whatsoever.
I
But my
can't
brother
really
and I-
get into Fire Emblem.
Oh, I love Fire Emblem. My brother loves Fire Emblem. It's just Renfro boys like Fire Emblem.
I mean, I've played those types of games before, but
What is it that you don't like about specifically?
I don't not like it. I just can't get into it.
Did you hear you just say?
I don't not like it. That sounds like
That's
my
what I
wife.
say all the time. I don't not like it.
That's what she
Wait.
said about mint ice cream all the time. I don't not like it, which basically boils down to she doesn't really like it.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
No,
does
I
it?
don't. I don't not like it. I just can't get into it.
Right.
Which means you don't think it's a bad thing at all.
It's
You
just
don't
something.
want
It's
it.
just not your interest. It's not what you're. And I get that. I totally understand that.
Because you can't say I like it and I don't like
Just
it.
like Earthbound is for a selective audience.
Yeah, but Earthbound's weird.
Well, Fire can be pretty weird.
But I mean,
So can
Earthbound's one of those exceptions.
So you're saying that Earthbound and Fire Emblem should not be placed on the same pedestal?
No, no. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
You okay, dear?
I just needed a face massage for a second.
You want me to massage your face for you? There.
Oh, that felt nice.
We'll have to definitely use our video cam.
Yeah,
part
just
when you need a face massage and have me massaging your face.
You're the best husband ever.
If you need it. I think really the way you have to approach Fire Emblem is that it's a game that you really have to care about the characters. If you don't care about the characters, it's not really going to propel the story. It's not going to propel the gameplay. You really have to.
This kind of pertains to both games and movies.
Okay.
If like you can get emotionally attached to a character,
Right.
like a human. So it's
Right. Like I'm emotionally attached to my wife.
like yeah, but that's different.
So go on with your point. When you're talking about getting emotionally attached to
I'm
characters.
just saying it's one of those things where you just if you get emotionally attached to a character and if they die then you get sad too when you're watching it,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh no, my favorite character died. Whatever shall I do?
Well, that was one of the things that made Fire Emblem, in my opinion, so entertaining, was that if you really felt like your choices had consequences. If one of your characters died in Fire Emblem, they were gone. You couldn't get it back, and that was so traumatizing. Especially if it was a character that you really, really liked. Now,
That
granted,
happens in XCOM too.
XCOM. It's because of my love, my growing up with Fire Emblem. I think is why XCOM is one of my favorite strategy games, because they really, especially if you play it in Iron Man mode, that really captures kind of the essence. Although what I did like about XCOM is that you can customize your characters and name them whatever you want. So you can name them like crazy names, or you could like name them like I usually named my XCOM characters off of politicians that I hated, because it's for some reason if I named them a politician that I hated, they would actually become my best characters. Where if I named them a character I really like, they would often die, with the exception of Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis actually was the winner of the game.
Yeah, he was the one
He
that
saved the world, just like in that
You
one.
can name your characters in XCOM. XCOM.
Yeah. And we made a guy that looked just like Bruce Willis, and he actually ended up being the hero of the game. He's the one that rescued everybody by sacrificing himself, just like Armageddon.
It's like Armageddon.
But yeah, the Bruce Willis, I like Bruce Willis as an actor, and actually he turned out all right. But we made some other characters that I really like Roger Ebert and stuff, and they died like instantly.
Yeah, Roger Ebert died really fast.
Roger Ebert, I think, only was on.
He was on one mission.
He was on one mission, and he got stabbed to death by one of those chrysalids.
Sad.
But the best fighting character I had, not fighting, like the best character, the character with the best combat skills in XCOM, sadly, was Hillary Clinton. And so I had
She
to
was an amazing sniper.
She was an incredible sniper. So it's interesting when you name your characters off of politicians that you hate in XCOM. For some reason, they end up being better than all your other characters, and Hillary Clinton was one of the.
Probably because you risked more with them. And you didn't care if they died, and they ended up succeeding, and they got promoted faster.
I think that's right. They did get promoted. You hit the nail on the head. I
like naming my Pokemon after funny things.
Like politicians.
Like
What's your favorite Pokemon name that you've ever given a Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon name.
It's gonna be so funny. I can't wait.
It's not really that funny.
Well, let's see.
I don't remember what it is.
Biscuit.
No.
Biscuit? Is that what you said?
No.
Lend me a ball and a biscuit, and we'll make our sweet time with that.
Wow, I just sequence broke in this game.
What?
What's happening? A snowball.
Wow, I'm not gonna go here yet because
How did you get up here?
I wall jumped. Watch this. No, I didn't do it right.
33 minutes. 33 minutes and running.
Yep. I just got up here with wall jumping.
We were at 419 megabytes, so we're not even close to half a gigabyte.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there yet. That's not a place I want to be.
How come they don't put Easter eggs and secrets in video games anymore?
Oh, they have a ton.
They do?
Where?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
What?
Easter eggs and everything.
What?
Borderlands 2 has like 50 Easter eggs.
Okay, what about other games?
XCOM has some Easter eggs.
It does?
Where?
I think
Where?
so.
I want to know, because I'd love to find those.
I don't know,
How'd
but
you hear about it?
I just hear about there's like Easter eggs in every Call of Duty game.
That's true. There was not Zoop. What was the Zook, or what's the name of the Easter egg for that our next door neighbor likes to show us all the time?
Oh, Zork?
Zork. Thank you. How did you know? Just
Because that's in Black Ops 1. Zork is an old computer game.
It's an old adventure game, text-based. How'd they do that? How'd they make a text-based computer game that old?
Well, it's a thing in It's not really a secret anymore because everyone knows about it. But
You're really, really good at wall jumping.
I didn't used to be.
How did you get good at it?
Because I figured out a trick. You have to lift your thumb from the D-pad to do it like really well. Because if you just do this, then you turn into human form again, or like not rolling.
Zero Suit
form.
Samus?
No,
Oh.
like you turn into like straight, like up and down instead
like
of rolling.
Oh.
So you gotta lift your thumb from the D-pad and then just push right and jump and do it right.
Huh.
I learned that from Zero Mission, and apparently it works in this game too.